All right, all right, all right. A little bit of Matthew McConaughey. Here we are with another Revenge of the Sith live reading. Let's get all my stuff appropriately distanced. That's better. Always got to do a little on-air readjustment. Howdy, everybody. I say everybody like there was more than one person, but we always give it a bit to trickle in. Today we're reading some more Revenge of the Sith. We are up to Chapter 10, Masters, which I believe is because it's going to be mainly discussion between several council members, Obi-Wan, Yoda, and the like. So we're reaching into the meat of the story. This is where it really starts to get good. It's been good since the first page, but it really kicks in. And you get a lot of, Palpatine just loves twisting the knife on his machinations. Ooh, this is a long chapter. We'll see how this goes. May need to cut this one in half or something. That's it. It doesn't look like too much in page form, but in reading, that'll take a while. Howdy, Rengoku, or Renguko. How you doing? Let's see, you're not excited for The Mandalorian and Grogu at all, really. I don't necessarily blame you. I think that the marketing could use a lot of work. I mean, it's only how many weeks out, and we still don't even know, like, what it's really about. You know, any kind of plot synopsis. All we know is The Mandalorian is in it. What's he doing? Why is he doing it? Why should I care? I think that, yeah, they could really use a bit of work. And that's my issue with, I mentioned the Super Bowl ad. Like, I think that it's a funny idea for an ad. I just don't think this is the time for a funny ad. I think they need ads that are compelling and are going to get people interested. But yeah, I will say in other Star Wars announcements, I still need to make like a video just talking about it, but Galactic Racer looks very good. The video games are still firing on all fronts, and that one we finally got a gameplay trailer, which is solid. Let's see, used to be excited for Star Wars for ages. Don't know what it is. Recently not hyped for Star Wars. I mean, a part of that I will say is just being older and the world around us changing. There's a lot of other reasons why I find it hard to get enthusiastic for a movie these days. Um, but I do think a part of it is it's not necessarily that we're not hyped for Star Wars. It's that we're not hyped for this item. I think there are a lot of Star Wars that would really excite people. I think even the concept of a Mandalorian movie could be exciting, but I think that they've so desperately tried to play it safe that they've kind of lost anything exciting or interesting. Even the title, like I talked about, I would have much preferred something that really like excites the imagination as opposed to just the Mandalorian and Grogu. Like, I know that's who's in it. Give me something cool. When will you show us your pink lightsaber? I mean, my one is a NeoPixel, so it could be pink. I don't remember, how do you get it to change colors? Let's wait until it hits pink. We just want a Black Hawk Down version of the Clone Wars. I don't know that we do. What would a Black Hawk Down even be? Like, there's no one target for them to get. Let's see, here we go. But yeah, there we go. Pink lightsaber. Now is when I will show us. Nope. And then immediately the battery dies. We got a second of pink lightsaber. But yeah, I don't know that I don't want too much Clone Wars stuff in general. We got 7 seasons of Clone Wars. We got, the Bad Batch, which is essentially an extended Clone Wars show. Ahsoka was partially the Clone Wars. Even Obi-Wan had elements of the Clone Wars. We've gotten so much Clone Wars. Give us anything else. I loved the recent Jedi Knights run because it was set pre-Phantom Menace. And that's something we never see. Whenever we go before Phantom Menace, it's minimum several hundred years. So, like, seeing just a little bit, hey, Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan together, like, that's sick. Let's see, what is it? King C, the Righteous Monarch. Thank you for the follow, and I'm glad to have you. We're always here doing some Star Wars. Sunday is our Read Revenge of the Sith Day, so we'll be starting that in a little bit as soon as we give some more people time to come join us. Star Wars is the first step in a femboy transformation. Yeah, that's the point. That's what it's been there for the whole time. 1977. George Lucas was a visionary. You didn't notice all the details? What did you think the Force was forcing people to do? I want to show off. I just got my Tales of the Jedi omnibus that I'm very excited to have. I really like those comics, and so I'm excited to get a chance to reread them. I read them the first time just on the app. What is it? Marvel Unlimited, which like is fun, and it's nice having like all of them. But it's tough to go back and reread. It's a little bit awkward. The flip side is that this omnibus also comes with the entire Dawn of the Jedi comics run, which I am not crazy about, but I've never fully read it, so I'll be able to finally give that a fair shot and see if I come away still disliking it. Visionary is crazy. That's what he is. A Sunday reading. Welcome, Corbin. A reading from the book according to Matthew, as was foretold. Oh, thank you for the hearts and roses. I appreciate it. But yeah, today we'll be reading Chapter 10, Masters, which, yeah, you know, Dooku is dead, the invisible hand is crashed, but Grievous got away, and so the Jedi are speculating on how to actually bring about the end of this war, which I'm sure will go very well, and will have no hiccups. But we'll give it just a few more minutes for anyone else who wants to join to come in. Always give a little 10-minute buffer. And then sometimes more, depending on how conversation kicks off. No hiccups. Not today. Still a little bit of gravel to the voice. I don't know how I sound from afar. But I still have just the slightest touch of a cold that's wearing away. But I think, you know, it sounds passable. It'll just give me a more authentic Grievous, you know? Any coughs, any hiccups are all just part of getting into character. Howdy, everybody. We're reading from, by the way, the deluxe edition of Revenge of the Sith, which I strongly recommend to anybody. I don't know. I probably should set it as, like, a shop item. Can I actually? Is it still on the TikTok shop? Because not last time, but a while back, TikTok yelled at me for advertising an item without actually advertising anything. No, okay, it's not in there anymore. I hope I didn't pause there. I don't understand how this website works. Howdy, Tristan, welcome. And thank you for the rose. And how's it going, Goo? Welcome. Always glad to see you. We'll be starting in just a few minutes, but yeah, I hope TikTok doesn't yell at me for advertising a book without having it linked in the shop. Like, you can check it out on TikTok. They have had Revenge of the Sith. I literally, a while back, I reached out, before the deluxe edition came out, I reached out and asked one of the bookstores that I usually link on TikTok, like, hey, can you restock Revenge of the Sith? Because I talk about it all the time, and TikTok's going to yell at me if I don't link it, but they just don't have it in stock. I can't help it. All right. So it's 10:09. I think we'll get started a little earlier than the average, but we got a lot of chapter to get through. So let me adjust into a proper stance as we dive into Chapter 10, Masters. Obi-Wan sat beside Mace Windu while they watched Yoda scan the report. Here in Yoda's simple living space within the Jedi Temple, every softly curving pod chair and knurled organoform table hummed with gentle, comforting power. The same warm strength that Obi-Wan remembered enfolding him even as an infant. These chambers had been Yoda's home for more than 800 years. Everything within them echoed with the harmonic resonance of Yoda's calm wisdom, tuned through centuries of his touch. To sit within Yoda's chambers was to inhale serenity. To Obi-Wan, this was a great gift in these troubled times. But when Yoda looked at them through the translucent shimmer of the holo-projected report on the contents of the latest amendment to the Security Act, his eyes were anything but calm. They had gone narrow and cold, and his ears had flattened back along his skull. Oh, here we go. You ready? Let me...
This report, from where does it...
No, hang on. Oh, I gotta get a good Yoda. I'm gonna be doing a lot of Yoda now. 800, so was he like 100 when he was Grandmaster? I believe he was a master at 100. I think it took him a little longer to become Grandmaster. See?
This report, from where does it come?
That's gonna have to be the best it'll be. The Jedi still have friends in the Senate, Mace Windu replied in his grim monotone. For now.
When presented, this amendment is passed, it will be?
Mace nodded. My source expects passage by acclamation. Overwhelming passage. Perhaps as early as this afternoon.
The Chancellor's goal in this, unclear to me, it is,
Yoda said slowly.
Though nominally in command of the Council, the Senate may place him, the Jedi he cannot control. Moral or authority has always been. Much more than merely legal.
God, I'm falling into Grievous.
Simply follow orders, Jedi do not.
I don't think he intends to control the Jedi, Mace said. By placing the Jedi Council under the control of the office of the Supreme Chancellor, this amendment will give him the constitutional authority to disband the Order itself.
Surely you cannot believe this is his intention.
His intention? Mace said darkly. Perhaps not. But his intentions are irrelevant. All that matters now is the intent of the Sith Lord, who has our government in his grip. And the Jedi Order may be all that stands between him and galactic domination. What do you think he will do?
Authority to disband the Jedi, the Senate would never grant.
The Senate will vote to grant exactly that, this afternoon.
The implications of this they must not comprehend.
It no longer matters what they comprehend, Mace said. They know where the power is.
But even disbanded, even without legal authority, still Jedi we would be. Jedi Knights served the Force long before there was a galactic republic, and serve it we will when the republic is but dust.
Master Yoda, that day may be coming sooner than any of us think. That day may be today. Mace shot a frustrated look at Obi-Wan, who picked up his cue smoothly. We don't know what the Sith Lord's plans may be, Obi-Wan said, but we can be certain that Palpatine is not to be trusted. Not anymore. This draft resolution is not the product of some overzealous senator. We may be sure Palpatine wrote it himself and passed it along to someone he controls, to make it look like the Senate is once more forcing him to reluctantly accept extra powers in the name of security. We are afraid that they will continue to do so until one day he's forced to reluctantly accept dictatorship for life. I am convinced this is the next step in a plot aimed directly at the heart of the Jedi, Mace said. This is a move toward our destruction. The dark side of the Force surrounds the Chancellor. Obi-Wan added, as it has surrounded and cloaked the Separatists since even before the war began. If the Chancellor is being influenced through the dark side, this whole war may have been, from the beginning, a plot by the Sith to destroy the Jedi Order.
Speculation!
Yoda thumped the floor with his Geimer stick, making his hoverchair bob gently.
On theories such as these, we cannot rely. Proof we need. Proof!
Proof may be a luxury we cannot afford. A dangerous light had entered Mace Windu's eyes. We must be ready to act. Act? Obi-Wan asked mildly. He cannot be allowed to move against the Order. He cannot be allowed to prolong the war needlessly. Too many Jedi have died already. He is dismantling the Republic itself. I have seen life outside the Republic. So have you, Obi-Wan. Slavery, torture, endless war. Mace's face darkened with the same distant, haunted shadow Obi-Wan had seen him wear the day before. I have seen it in Nar Shaddaa, and I saw it on Harun Kal. I saw what it did to Deppa and to Sora Bulk. Whatever its flaws, the Republic is our sole hope for justice and for peace. It is our only defense against the dark. Palpatine may be about to do what the Separatists cannot, bring down the Republic. If he tries, he must be removed from office. Removed? Obi-Wan said. You mean arrested? Yoda shook his head.
To a dark place this line of thought will lead us. Great care we must take.
The Republic is civilization. It's the only one we have. Mace looked deeply into Yoda's eyes, and into Obi-Wan's, and Obi-Wan could feel the heat in the Corran Master's gaze. We must be prepared for radical action. It is our duty. But, Obi-Wan protested numbly, you're talking about treason. I'm not afraid of words, Obi-Wan. If it's treason, then so be it. I would do this right now if I had the Council's support. The real treason, Mace said, would be failure to act.
Such an act. Destroy the Jedi Order, it could,
Yoda said.
Lost the trust of the public we have already.
No disrespect, Master Yoda, Mace interrupted, but that's a politician's argument. We can't let public opinion stop us from doing what's right.
Convinced it is right, I am not,
Yoda said severely.
Working behind the scenes we should be, to uncover Lord Sidious, to move against Palpatine while the Sith still exist. This may be part of the Sith plan itself, to turn the Senate and the public against the Jedi, so that we are not only disbanded, but outlawed.
Mace was half out of his pod. To wait gives the Sith the advantage.
Have the advantage already, they do.
Yoda jabbed at him with his Geimer stick.
Increase their advantage we will, if in haste we act.
Masters, please, Obi-Wan said. He looked from one to the other and inclined his head respectfully. Perhaps there is a middle way. Of course. Kenobi the negotiator. Mace Windu settled back into his seating pod. I should have guessed. This is why you asked for this meeting, isn't it? To mediate our differences, if you can.
So sure of your skills you are.
Yoda folded his fists around the head of his stick.
Easy to negotiate, this matter is not.
Obi-Wan kept his head down. It seems to me, he said carefully, that Palpatine himself has given us an opening. He has said, both to you, Master Windu, and in the HoloNet address he gave following his rescue, that General Grievous is the true obstacle to peace. Let us forget about the rest of the Separatist leadership for now. Let Newt Gunray and Sandhill and the rest run wherever they like, while we put every available Jedi and all of our agents, the whole of Republic intelligence if we can, to work on locating Grievous himself. This will force the hand of the Sith Lord. He will know that Grievous cannot elude our full efforts for long, once we devote ourselves exclusively to his capture. It will draw Sidious out. He will have to make some sort of move if he wishes the war to continue. If, Mace said, the war has been a Sith operation from the beginning, with Dooku on one side and Sidious on the other. It has always been a plot aimed at us, at the Jedi, to bleed us dry of our youngest and best, to make us into something we were never intended to be. He shook his head bitterly. I had the truth in my hands years ago, back on Harun Kal, in the first months of the war. I had it, but I did not understand how right I was.
Seeing glimpses of this truth we all have,
Yoda said sadly.
Our arrogance it is, which has stopped us from fully opening our eyes.
Until now, Obi-Wan put in gently, we understand now the goal of the Sith Lord. We know his tactics, and we know where to look for him. His actions will reveal him. He cannot escape us. He will not escape us. Yoda and Mace frowned at each other for one long moment. Then both of them turned to Obi-Wan and inclined their heads in mirrors of his respectful bow.
Seen to the heart of the matter, young Kenobi has.
Mace nodded. Yoda and I will remain on Coruscant, monitoring Palpatine's advisors and lackeys. We'll move against Sidious the instant he is revealed. But who will capture Grievous? I have fought him blade to blade. He is more than a match for most Jedi. We'll worry about that once we find him, Obi-Wan said. A slight, wistful smile crept over his face. If I listen hard enough, I can almost hear Qui-Gon reminding me that until the possible becomes actual, it is only a distraction. Let's see, we'll take a pause there. Dude, great voices, thank you. You thought I was reading the Bible. Hey, it's close enough. Matthew Stover's Revenge of the Sith, that's a holy book right there. And thank you, Devin, for the follow. I'm glad. I hope my Yoda is tolerable. If it's not, we got a Grievous chapter coming up, and so that's going to be rough. Jedi Master Miss Piggy. It is a little close to Piggy, isn't it? Let's see. Yeah, so by the time of the sequels, Grogu should finally be talking. That's the thing. The development cycle on them is going to be kind of whack. 50 years of infancy, and then over the next 50, you reach full adulthood. Like, all right, interesting. All right, let's keep going. General Grievous stood, wide-legged, hands folded behind him, as he stared out through the reinforced viewport at the towering sphere of the Geonosian dreadnought. The immense ship looked small, though, against the scale of the vast sinkhole that rose around it. This was Utapau, a remote backworld on the fringe of the Outer Rim. At ground level, far above where Grievous stood now, the planet appeared to be a featureless ball of barren rock, scoured flat by endless hyperwinds. From orbit, though, its cities and factories and spaceports could be seen as the planet's rotation brought its cavernous sinkholes one at a time into view. These sinkholes were the size of inverted mountains, and every available square meter of their interior walls was packed with city. And every square meter of every city was under the guns of separatist war droids, making sure that the Utapauans behaved themselves. Utapau had no interest in the Clone Wars. It had never been a member of the Republic, and had carefully maintained a stance of quiet neutrality, right up until Grievous had conquered it. Let's see real quick. What's that book in the back? The Marvel one. That's Tales of the Jedi, comic omnibus. Excellent. Just joined. Can you restart the books? That'd be quite a bit of restart, but I upload all of these to my YouTube channel of the same name, so you can go watch any old chapters if you'd like. Vader versus Thor, who wins? Someone pointed out that the electricity is going to pretty easily shred Vader, so that's going to be a quick win for Thor. Neutrality in these times was a joke. A planet was neutral only so long as neither the Republic nor the Confederacy wanted it. If Grievous could laugh, he would have. The members of the Separatist leadership scurried across the Permacrete landing platform like the alley rats they were, scampering for the ship that would take them to the safety of the newly constructed base on Mustafar. But one alley rat was missing from the scuttle. Grievous shifted his gaze fractionally and found the reflection of Newt Gunray in the transparisteel. The Nemoidian viceroy stood dithering in the control center's doorway. Grievous regarded the reflection of the bulbous, cold-blooded eyes below the tall-peaked mitre. "Gunray!" He made no other motion. "Why are you still here?" "Some things should be said privately, General." The Viceroy's reflection cast glances either way along the hallway beyond the door. "I am disturbed by this new move. You told us that Utapau would be safe for us. Why is the Leadership Council being moved now to Mustafar?" Grievous sighed. He had no time for lengthy explanations. He was expecting a secret transmission from Sidious himself. He could not take the transmission with Gunray in the room, nor could he follow his natural inclinations and boot the Nemoidian viceroy so high he'd burn up on re-entry. Grievous still hoped every day that Lord Sidious would give him leave to smash the skulls of Gunray and his toady Rune Hako. Repulsive, sniveling, grub-greedy scum, both of them. And the rest of the Separatist leadership was every bit as vile. But for now, a pretense of cordiality had to be maintained. Give me a second for a sip. Thank you for the follow, Art. Star Wars is creatively bankrupt. People have been saying that since Return of the Jedi. Andor is the most creative thing they've done in years, and they should do more of it. "Utapau," Grievous said slowly, as though explaining to a child, "is a hostile planet under military occupation. It was never intended to be more than a stopgap, while the defenses of the base on Mustafar were completed. Now that they are, Mustafar is the most secure planet in the galaxy. The stronghold prepared for you can withstand the entire Republic Navy." "It should," Gunray muttered. "Construction nearly bankrupted the Trade Federation." "Don't whine to me about money, Viceroy. I have no interest in it." You had better, General. It's my money that finances this entire war. It's my money that pays for that body you wear, and for those insanely expensive Magna Guards of yours. It's my money. Grievous moved so swiftly that he seemed to teleport from the window to half a meter in front of Gunray. How much use is your money? He said, flexing his hand of jointed duranium in the Nemoidian's face. Against this. Gunray flinched and backed away. I have some concerns about your ability to keep us safe, General. That's all. We, the Trade Federation, cannot work in a climate of fear. What about the Jedi? Forget the Jedi. They do not enter into this equation. They will be entering into this base soon enough. The base is secure. It can stand against 1,000 Jedi. 10,000. Do you hear yourself? Are you mad? What I am, Grievous replied evenly, is unaccustomed to having my orders challenged. We are the Leadership Council. You cannot give us orders. We give the orders here. Are you certain of that? Would you care to wager? Grievous leaned close enough that he could see the reflection of his mask in Gunray's rose-colored eyes. Shall we say, bet your life on it? Gunray kept on backing away. You tell us we'll be safe on Mustafar, but you also told us you would deliver Palpatine as a hostage, and he managed to escape your grip. Be thankful, Viceroy, Grievous said, admiring the smooth flexing of his finger joints as though his hand were some species of exotic predator, that you have not found yourself in my grip. He went back to the viewport and reassumed his original position, legs wide, hands clasped behind his back. To look on the sickly pink in Gunray's pale green cheeks for 1 second longer was to risk forgetting his orders and splattering the Viceroy's brains from here to Ord Mantell. Your ship is waiting. His auditory sensors clearly picked up the slither of Gunray's sandals retreating along the corridor, and not a second too soon. His sensors were also registering the whine of the control center's holocom warming up. He turned to face the disk, and when the annunciator chimed to indicate the incoming transmission, he pressed the accept key and knelt. Head down, he could see only the scanned image of the hem of the Great Lord's robes, but that was all he needed to see. Yes, Lord Sidious. Have you moved the Separatist Council to Mustafar? Yes, Master. He risked a glance out the viewport. Most of the council had reached the starship. Gunray should be joining them any second. Grievous had seen firsthand how fast the Viceroy could run, given proper motivation. The ship will lift off within moments. I gotta take another sip. Dude, this is amazing. Thank you. I appreciate it, Joker. Oh, let's see. Art by Nicolette. One of the best Star Wars books. That it absolutely is. One of the best books, period, in my opinion. This is one of my all-time favorites. Actually, I'm going to take a second before this last bit. Going back and forth between Grievous and Palpatine is about to be quite a number on my throat, but got to get the authenticity. A lot of gravelly in this next chapter. What microphones? This is a 5-fine mic. I actually have it linked in my TikTok showcase if you want to take a look. Let's see, AC Skywalker, you really need to finish reading it. You should. I mean, you already know what happens, but, like, it's good. It's worth it. Do you have a manager? No, I manage all my my own stuff, but if you want to reach out to me, you could send a DM on TikTok. I'd love to arrange something. Sounds fun. Is that a lightsaber behind you? It is. It's actually... should be several, but 2 of them are on the ground right now. Oh, hello. Little guest star for a minute. She always likes seeing what's going on over here. Hi, dear. Squidgy, squidgy. You're doing great. Such a cool live. Thank you. I'm glad people enjoy. Yeah. Here you go, sweetie. Let's see. You have a blue lightsaber for Obi-Wan. Classic. And yeah, you still rewatch the movies, so like the books add so much. That's the thing. Like, especially Revenge of the Sith, it's a totally different experience than watching the movie, and in my opinion, a much better one. Let's see. Would your cat be a Sith or a Jedi? Well, I got two of them. I think we got one Jedi, one Sith. Maybe just because he's a black cat, so he fits the Sith aesthetic, but he's a bit of a menace. All right. I've stalled enough. Let's get into this gravel off. Well done, my general. Now you must turn your hand to preparing our trap there on Utapau. The Jedi hunt you personally at last. You must be ready for their attack. Yes, master. I am arranging matters to give you a second chance to do my bidding, Grievous. Expect that the Jedi sent to capture you will be Obi-Wan Kenobi. Kenobi! Grievous's fists clenched hard enough that his carpal electrodrivers whined in protest. And Skywalker? I believe Skywalker will be otherwise engaged. Grievous dropped his head even lower. I will not fail you again, my master. Kenobi will die. See to it. Master, if I may trouble you with boldness, why did you not let me kill Chancellor Palpatine? We may never get a better chance. The time was not yet ripe. Patience, my general. The end of the war is near, and victory is certain. Even with the loss of Count Dooku. Dooku was not lost. He was sacrificed. A strategic sacrifice, as one offers up a piece in Dejarik to draw the opponent into a fatal blunder. I was never much the Dejarik player, my master. I prefer real war. And you shall have your fill, I promise you. This fatal blunder you speak of, if I may once again trouble you with boldness, you will come to understand soon enough. Grievous could hear the smile in his master's voice. All will be clear once you meet my new apprentice. Ugh. And then from there you roll right into Anakin finger-combed his hair as he trotted out across the restricted landing deck atop the Temple Ziggurat, near the base of the High Council Tower. Far across the expansive deck stood the Supreme Chancellor's shuttle. Anakin squinted at it, and at the two tall red-robed guards that stood flanking its open-access ramp. And coming towards him, from the direction of the shuttle, shielding his eyes and leaning against the morning wind that whipped across the unprotected field, was that Obi-Wan? Finally, Anakin muttered. He'd scoured the temple for his former master. He'd nearly given up hope of finding him when a passing Padawan had mentioned that he'd seen Obi-Wan on his way out to the landing deck to meet Palpatine's shuttle. He'd hoped Obi-Wan wouldn't notice that he'd changed his clothes. It wasn't like he could explain. Though his secret couldn't last, he wasn't ready for it to come out just yet. He and Padme had agreed last night that they would keep it as long as they could. He wasn't ready to leave the Jedi Order. Not while she was still in danger. Padme had said that his nightmare must only be a metaphor, but he knew better. He knew that Force prophecy was not absolute, but his had never been wrong, not in the slightest detail. He had known as a boy that he would be chosen by the Jedi. He had known his adventures would span the galaxy. As a mere 9-year-old, long before he even understood what love was, he had looked upon Padme Amidala's flawless face and seen there that she would love him and that they would someday marry. There had been no metaphor in his dreams of his mother, screaming in pain, tortured to death. I knew you would come to me, Annie. I missed you so much. He could have saved her. Maybe. It had always seemed so obvious to him that if he had only returned to Tatooine a day earlier, an hour, he could have found his mother and she would still be alive. And yet, And yet the great prophets of the Jedi had always taught that the gravest danger in trying to prevent a vision of the future from coming to pass is that in doing so, a Jedi can actually bring it to pass. As though if he'd run away in time to save his mother, he might have made himself somehow responsible for her death. As though if he tried to save Padme, he could end up, blankly impossible though it was, killing her himself. But to do nothing, to simply wait for Padme to die, could something be more than impossible? When a Jedi had a question about the deepest subtleties of the Force, there was one source to whom he could always turn. And so, first thing that morning, without even taking time to stop by his own quarters for a change of clothing, Anakin had gone to Yoda for advice. He'd been surprised by how graciously the ancient master had invited him into his quarters, and by how patiently Yoda had listened to his stumbling attempts to explain his question without giving away his secret. Yoda had never made any attempt to conceal what had always seemed to Anakin to be a gruff disapproval of Anakin's very existence. But this morning, despite clearly having other things on his mind, even Anakin's Force perceptions, far from the most subtle, had detected echoes of conflict and worry within the Master's chamber. Yoda had simply offered Anakin a place on one of the softly rounded pod seats and suggested that they meditate together. He hadn't even asked for details. Anakin had been so grateful, and so relieved, and so unexpectedly hopeful that he'd found tears welling into his eyes, and some few minutes had been required for him to compose himself into proper Jedi serenity. After a time, Yoda's eyes had slowly opened, and the deep furrows of his ancient brow had deepened further.
Premonitions, deep questions they are. Sense the future once all Jedi could. Now few alone have this skill. Visions, gifts from the Force, and curses. Signposts and snares, these visions of yours.
They are of pain, Anakin had said, of suffering. He had barely been able to make himself add, and death.
In these troubled times, no surprise, this is. Yourself, you see, or someone you know?
Anakin had not trusted himself to answer.
Someone close to you,
Yoda had prompted gently. Yes, Anakin had replied, eyes turned away from Yoda's too wise stare. Let him think he was talking about Obi-Wan. It was close enough. Yoda's voice was still gentle and understanding.
The fear of loss is a path to the dark side, young one.
I won't let my visions come true, Master. I won't.
Rejoice for those who transform into the Force. Mourn them not. Miss them not.
Then why do we fight at all, Master? Why save anybody?
Speaking of anybody, we are not,
Yoda had said sternly.
Speaking of you and your vision and your fear, we are. The shadow of greed attachment is. What you fear to lose, train yourself to release. Let go of fear, and loss cannot harm you.
Which was when Anakin had realized Yoda wasn't going to be any help at all. The greatest sage of the Jedi Order had nothing better to offer him than more pious babble about letting things pass out of his life, like he hadn't heard that a million times already. Easy for him. Who had Yoda ever cared about? Really cared about? Of one thing Anakin was certain. The ancient master had never been in love. Or he would have known better than to expect Anakin to just fold his hands and close his eyes and settle in to meditate, while what was left of Padme's life evaporated like a ghost-mist dew in a Tatooine winter dawn. So all that had been left for him was to find some way to respectfully extricate himself, and then go find Obi-Wan. Because he wasn't about to give up, not in this millennium. Let's see, I'm going to take another pause for a sip. How many more we got? Ooh. Long chapter. But I think we can keep going. Let's see. Is the Dark Trilogy canon or Legends? I don't know what you mean by Dark Trilogy. Like the Dark Lord Trilogy? Like Revenge of the Sith, Rise of Darth Vader, and Labyrinth of Evil? because you're thinking of buying Master and Apprentice and the trilogy. Master and Apprentice is excellent. That one's canon. If you're referring to that Dark Trilogy, then yeah, those are legends. But they're very good. Still recommend reading all three of them. Oh, let's see. Shrek Cause 911 asked, do you think Anakin would have turned if Ahsoka stayed? Unfortunately, I do. I think Padme was really the key stumbling block. You know, if Obi-Wan wasn't enough to keep Anakin, Ahsoka wouldn't have been either. It's, you know, her leaving certainly didn't help, but I don't think it would have been the linchpin. Oh, this has been a brutal chapter. Lots of Yoda, lots of Grievous. Let's see. The Jedi Temple was the greatest nexus of Force energy in the Republic. Its ziggurat design focused the Force the way a lightsaber's gemstone focused its energy stream. With the thousands of Jedi and Padawans within it every day contemplating peace, seeking knowledge, and meditating on justice and surrender to the will of the Force, the temple was a fountain of the light. Just being on its rooftop landing deck sent a surge of power through Anakin's whole body. If the Force was ever to show him a way to change the dark future of his nightmares, it would do so here. Wait a minute. What am I doing? Gosh, I'm getting lost in myself. What do you think about the Shadows of the Empire novel? I wasn't crazy about it. I've been thinking about rereading it, though. Maybe I'll listen to the audiobook, see if it grows on me. I don't like Dash Rendar, and I think that Shizor is a real weirdo. I prefer it when the major villains are more like sinister evil and less like pervert evil, you know? The Jedi Temple also contained the archives, the vast library that encompassed the Order's entire 25 millennia of existence. Everything from the widest-ranging cosmographical surveys to the intimate journals of 1 billion Jedi Knights. It was there Anakin hoped to find everything that was known about prophetic dreams, and everything that was known about preventing these prophecies from coming to pass. His only problem was that the deepest secrets of the greatest masters of the Force were stored in restricted holocrons. Since the Lorian Nod affair some 70 standard years before, access to these holocrons was denied to all but Jedi Masters. And he couldn't exactly explain to the Archives Master why he wanted them. But now here was Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan would help him. Anakin knew he would, if only Anakin could figure out the right way to ask. While he was still hunting for words, Obi-Wan reached him. You missed the report on the Outer Rim sieges. I was held up, Anakin said. I have no excuse. That, at least, was true. Is Palpatine here? Anakin asked. It was a convenient enough way to change the subject. Has something happened? Quite the opposite, Obi-Wan said. That shuttle did not bring the Chancellor. It is waiting to bring you to him. Waiting? For me? Anakin frowned. Worries and lack of sleep had his head full of fog. He couldn't make this make sense. He patted his robes vacantly. But my beacon hasn't gone off. If the Council wanted me, why didn't they? The Council, Obi-Wan said, has not been consulted. I don't understand. Nor do I. Obi-Wan stepped close, nodding minutely back toward the shuttle. They simply arrived some time ago. When the deck duty Padawans questioned them, they said the Chancellor has requested your presence. Why wouldn't he go through the Council? Perhaps he has some reason to believe, Obi-Wan said carefully, that the Council might have resisted sending you. Perhaps he did not wish to reveal his reason for this summons. Relations between the Council and the Chancellor are stressed. A queasy knot began to tie itself against Anakin's ribs. Obi-Wan, what's going on? Something's wrong, isn't it? You know something, I can tell. No. Only suspect, which is not at all the same thing. Anakin remembered what he'd said to Padme about exactly that last night. The queasy knot tightened. And that's why I am out here, Anakin, so I can talk to you privately, not as a member of the Jedi Council. In fact, if the Council were to find out about this conversation, well, let's say I'd rather they didn't. What conversation? I still don't know what's going on. None of us does. Not really. Obi-Wan put a hand on Anakin's shoulder and frowned deeply into his eyes. Anakin, you know I am your friend. Of course you are. No, no, of courses, Anakin. Nothing is of course anymore. I am your friend, and as your friend I am asking you, be wary of Palpatine. What do you mean? I know you are his friend. I am concerned that he may not be yours. Be careful of him, Anakin, and be careful of your own feelings. Careful? Don't you mean mindful? Obi-Wan's frown deepened. No, I don't. The Force grows ever darker around us, and we are all affected by it, even as we affect it. This is a dangerous time to be a Jedi. Please, Anakin, please be careful. Anakin tried for his old rakish smile. You worry too much. I have to. Because I don't worry at all, right? Anakin finished for him. Obi-Wan's frown softened towards a smile. How did you know I was going to say that? You're wrong, you know. Anakin stared off through the morning haze towards the shuttle, past the shuttle, toward 500 Republica and Padme's apartment. He said, I worry plenty. Ugh. Ain't that a good line? Cam, why have you only just found this live? I suppose, I keep telling TikTok, put me on everyone's FYP, but for some reason they don't want to. I don't know how to make them. But yeah, we read Chapter of Revenge Sith every Sunday at 10 EST. And I also have all the prior chapters on my YouTube channel, or most of them. I'm very bad at uploading them, but I'll get to all of them eventually. Why do you low-key so good at Obi and Anakin's voice? Thank you, I appreciate it. I'm glad to hear. I'm always worried about pretty much every voice I do. This has been a very rough chapter as I've been doing. I've mentioned a lot of Grievous, a lot of Yoda, and even some Newt Gunray in this chapter. Let's see. Can you please give us a hello there? And yeah, Brandon, thank you very much. Yeah, like and repost to get me out there. I at all times am trying. I only have one follower milestone that I want to reach, and it's 10,000. And that's because I can't make playlists on this app until I have 10,000 followers, which is so frustrating. That was so sick. Thank you. I'm glad. Always glad to pop in a hello there. You've got the way Ewan says Anakin down pat. That's one of the go-tos. You always want to have like a couple of words that you really like focus on. How does this guy say it? So Anakin is a very easy one to rely on. And AJ, would you have been a Jedi or a Sith? Absolutely a Jedi. Who would want to be a Sith? But now, Patrick, you asked, is the deluxe edition worth it? I would say absolutely. Primarily, it's a very nice edition of the book. It looks really good. But it also has notes from Matthew Stover, the author of the book, about how it was written. Let me find. There are a couple of good ones that I wanted to read. Here we go. This is going to be a good one. So after he first introduces, the novelization has the whole thing that Anakin wants to get into the Jedi archives because he thinks they have information that will save Padme. That's not really in the movie, and Stover has a footnote talking about. The script never really talked about why Anakin is so obsessed with becoming a Jedi Master. It's simply presented as something wildly important to him. But obsession with social status is a nasty quirk, and I couldn't think of a way to write it that wouldn't poison the audience sympathy I'd been working so hard to generate. It was a hell of a lot easier to figure out how becoming a master might be essential to his completely relatable obsession with saving Padme's life. Which, yeah, makes sense. Oh, let's see. This shirt is amazing, too. I put this on intentionally for this. This is a Heroes and Villains shirt. It's one of their little ones, the TIE Fighter design. I love it. It's so subtle. Like at a glance, it just looks like a regular patterned shirt. But when you look closer, it's Star Wars themed. It's so much fun. It's sleek. I love this one. And very comfy, too. Their shirts are really nice. And thank you, J.M. Irving, for the follow. I'm glad to have you. And thank you for saying I seem cool. Yeah, Heroes and Villains. I've got a couple of their shirts. They're always fantastic. But yeah, strongly recommend Revenge of the Sith Deluxe Edition. Hopefully, the TikTok shop restocks it soon. You can check my showcase to see if they have it, because I would love to get little commission on selling this, but I'll sell it anyways. It's worth buying no matter what. Goob, is that a Legends comic on the shelf? It is. Tales of the Jedi. And it goes all the way back to like Dawn of the Jedi. It's everything up to the end of like the Sith Wars, which is pretty cool. Just got it the other day. Let's see. Here we are. All right. The ride to Palpatine's office was quietly tense. Anakin had tried making conversation with the two tall helmet-masked figures in the red robes, but they weren't exactly chatty. Anakin's discomfort only increased when he arrived at Palpatine's office. He had been here so often that he didn't even really see it most times. The deep red runner that matched the softly curving walls, the long, comfortable couches, the huge arc of window behind Palpatine's desk. These were all so familiar that they were usually almost invisible. But today, with Obi-Wan's voice whispering, "Be wary of Palpatine" in the back of his head, everything looked different, new, and not in a good way. Some indefinable gloom shrouded everything, as though the orbital mirrors that focused the light of Coruscant's distant sun into bright daylight has somehow been damaged, or smudged with the brown haze of smoke that still shrouded the cityscape. The light of the Chancellor's lamp discs seemed brighter than usual, almost harsh, but somehow that only deepened the gloom. He discovered now an odd accidental echo of memory, a new harmonic resonance inside his head when he looked at the curving view wall that threw into silhouette the Chancellor's single large chair. Palpatine's office reminded him of the General's quarters on Invisible Hand, and it struck him as unaccountably sinister that the robes worn by the Chancellor's cadre of bodyguards were the exact color of Palpatine's carpets. Palpatine himself stood at the view wall, hands clasped behind him, gazing out upon the smoke-hazed morning. Anakin. He must have seen Anakin's reflection in the curve of transparisteel. He had not moved. Join me. Anakin came up beside him, mirroring his stance. Endless cityscapes stretched away before them. Here and there, the remains of shattered buildings still smoldered. Space lane traffic was beginning to return to normal, and rivers of gnat-like speeders and air taxis and repulsor buses crisscrossed the city. In the near distance, the vast dome of the Galactic Senate squatted like a gigantic gray mushroom sprung from the Durcrete plain that was Republic Plaza. Farther, dim in the brown haze, he could pick out the quintuple spires that topped the ziggurat of the Jedi Temple. "Do you see, Anakin?" Palpatine's voice was soft, hoarse with emotion. "Do you see what they have done to our magnificent city? This war must end. We cannot allow such... His voice trailed away, and he shook his head. Gently, Anakin laid a hand on Palpatine's shoulder, and a hint of frown fleeted over his face at how frail seemed the flesh and bone beneath the robe. "You know you have my best efforts, and those of every Jedi," he said. Palpatine nodded, lowering his head. "I know I have yours, Anakin. The rest of the Jedi..." He sighed. He looked even more exhausted than he had yesterday. Perhaps he had passed a sleepless night as well. "I have asked you here," he said slowly, "because I need your help on a matter of extreme delicacy. I hope I can depend upon your discretion, Anakin." Anakin went still for a moment. Then he very slowly lifted his hand from the Chancellor's shoulder. "Be wary of Palpatine. As a Jedi, there are limits to my discretion, Chancellor." "Oh, of course. Don't worry, my boy." A flash of his familiar, fatherly smile forced its way into his eyes. "Anakin, in all the years we have been friends, have I ever asked you to do anything even the slightest bit against your conscience?" "Well, and I never will. I am very proud of your accomplishments as a Jedi, Anakin. You have won many battles the Jedi Council insisted to me were already lost. And you saved my life. It's frankly appalling that they still keep you off the Council yourself." "My time will come when I am older, and, I suppose, wiser." He didn't want to get into this with Palpatine. Talking with the Chancellor like this, seriously, man to man, made him feel good, feel strong, despite Obi-Wan's warning. He certainly didn't want to start whining about being passed over for mastery like some pre-adolescent Padawan who hadn't been chosen for a scramble team. Nonsense, age is no measure of wisdom. They keep you off the council because it is the last hold they have on you, Anakin. It is how they control you. Once you're a master, as you deserve, how will they make you do their bidding? Well, Anakin gave him a half-sheepish smile. They can't exactly make me, even now. I know, my boy, I know. That is precisely the point. You are not like them. You are younger, stronger, better. If they cannot control you now, what will happen once you are a master in your own right? How will they keep your toes on their political line? You may become more powerful than all of them together. That is why they keep you down. They fear your power. They fear you. Anakin looked down. This had struck a little close to the bone. I have sensed something like that. I have asked you here today, Anakin, because I have fears of my own. He turned, waiting, until Anakin met his eye, and on Palpatine's face was something approaching bleak despair. I am coming to fear the Jedi themselves. Oh, Chancellor! Anakin broke into a smile of disbelief. There is no one more loyal than the Jedi, sir. Surely, after all this time. But Palpatine had already turned away. He lowered himself into the chair behind his desk, and kept his head down as though he was ashamed to say this directly to Anakin's face. The Council keeps pushing for more control, more autonomy. They have lost all respect for the rule of law. They have become more concerned with avoiding the oversight of the Senate than with winning the war. With respect, sir, many of the Council would say the same of you. He thought of Obi-Wan, and he had to stop himself from wincing. Had he betrayed a confidence just now? Or had Obi-Wan been doing the Council's bidding after all? Be wary of Palpatine, he'd said, and be careful of your feelings. Were these honest warnings out of concern for him? Or had they been calculated, seeds of doubt planted to hedge Anakin away from the one man who really understood him? The one man he could really trust? Oh, I have no doubt about it, Palpatine was saying. Many of the Jedi on your council would prefer I was out of office altogether, because they know I'm onto them now. They're shrouded in secrecy, obsessed with covert action against mysteriously faceless enemies. Well, the Sith are hardly faceless, are they? I mean, Dooku himself. Was he truly a Lord of the Sith? Or was he just another in your string of fallen Jedi, posturing with a red lightsaber to intimidate you? Anakin frowned. How could he be sure? But Sidious. Ah, yes, the mysterious Lord Sidious. The Sith infiltrator in the highest levels of government. Doesn't that sound a little overly familiar to you, Anakin? A little overly convenient? How do you know this Sidious even exists? How do you know he is not a fiction created by the Jedi Council to give them an excuse to harass their political enemies? The Jedi are not political. In a democracy, everything is political, Anakin. And every one. This imaginary Sith Lord of theirs, even if he does exist, is he anyone to be feared? To be hunted down and exterminated without trial? The Sith are the definition of evil. Or so you have been trained to believe. I have been reading about the history of the Sith for some years now, Anakin. Ever since the Council saw fit to finally reveal to me their assertion that these millennium-dead sorcerers had supposedly sprung back to life. Not every tale about them is sequestered in your conveniently secret temple archives. From what I have read, they were not so different from Jedi, seeking power to be sure, but so does your council. The dark side? Oh, yes, certainly the dark side. Listen to me. If this Darth Sidious of yours were to walk through that door right now, and I could somehow stop you from killing him on the spot, do you know what I would do? Palpatine rose, and his voice rose with him. I would ask him to sit down, and I would ask him if he has any power he could use to end this war. You would... Anakin couldn't quite make himself believe what he was hearing. The blood-red rug beneath his feet seemed to shift under him, and his head was starting to spin. And if he said he did, I'd bloody well offer him a brandy and talk it out. You... Chancellor, you can't be serious. Well, not entirely, Palpatine sighed and shrugged and lowered himself once more into his chair. It's only an example, Anakin. I would do anything to return peace to the galaxy, do you understand? That's all I mean. After all, he offered a tired, sadly ironic smile, what are the chances of an actual Sith Lord ever walking through that door? I wouldn't know, Anakin said feelingly, but I do know that you probably shouldn't use that example in front of the Jedi Council. Oh, yes, Palpatine chuckled. Yes, quite right. They might take it as an excuse to accuse me. I'm sure they'd never do that. I am not. I am no longer sure they'll stop at anything, Anakin. That's actually the reason I asked you here today. He leaned forward intently, resting his elbows on the desk. You may have heard that this afternoon the Senate will call upon this office to assume direct control of the Jedi Council. Anakin's frown deepened. The Jedi will no longer report to the Senate? They will report to me, personally. The Senate is too unfocused to conduct this war. We've seen this for years. Now that this office will be the single authority to direct the prosecution of the war, we'll bring a quick end to things. Anakin nodded. I can see how that will help, sir, but the Council probably won't. I can tell you that they are in no mood for further constitutional amendments. Yes, thank you, my friend, but in this case I have no choice. This war must be won. Everyone agrees on that. I hope they do, my boy. I hope they do. Let's see, I'm going to take a second and take a sip. Palpatine, I'm a Sith sympathizer. Yeah, it's so good. I love this whole section from Palpatine. Let's see, My Time Will Come line is from a deleted scene. Yeah, a lot of deleted scenes are back in this. Some with, slightly changed dialogue, but yeah, the gist of them is kept the same. And yeah, this whole segment, everything Palpatine says, like, he's such a good manipulator in this, in a way that I don't think that the movie really achieves. Let's see, the switch between voices is too good. Thank you. Especially, like, I love the bit. I'd never really taken note of when Anakin reflects on what Obi-Wan said to him and goes, were these honest warnings out of concern for him, or had they been calculated, seeds of doubt planted to hedge Anakin away from the one man who really understood him? And it's like, Anakin, you're right to be wary of that, but you've got it in the exact wrong order. Palpatine is planting calculated seeds of doubt to turn you against Obi-Wan. Let's see, Austin, where's the robe? Today is just a reading live, so no robes. Nice and casual. Robes are for Thursdays. Oh. All right, let's see. The manipulation is so much better in the book. Yes. I wish TikTok had like a better repost function that I could bring back my my live performance of Palpatine's manipulation. You're about to fall asleep to this. There's worse things to fall asleep to. In the movie, Anakin just looks like a spoiled baby. Yeah, that's the thing. It's very unconvincing in the movie in a way that this makes, like, really palpable. I might fall for this. All right, let's see. Inside his head, he heard the echo of Obi-Wan, murmuring, relations between the Council and the Chancellor are stressed. What had been going on here in the capital? Weren't they all on the same side? I can assure you... Wait. Wrong one. I can assure you, he said firmly, that the Jedi are absolutely dedicated to the core values of the Republic. One of Palpatine's eyebrows arched. Their actions will speak more loudly than their words, as long as someone keeps an eye on them. And that, my boy, is exactly the favor I must ask of you. I don't understand. Anakin, I am asking you, as a personal favor to me, in respect for our long friendship, to accept a post as my personal representative on the Jedi Council. Oh. Anakin blinked. He blinked again. He said, Me? Who else? Palpatine spread his hands in a melancholy shrug. You are the only Jedi I know, truly know, that I can trust. I need you, my boy. There is no one else who can do this job, to be the eyes and ears and the voice of the Republic on the Jedi Council. On the Council, Anakin murmured. He could see himself seated in one of the low, curving chairs opposite Mace Windu, opposite Yoda. He might sit next to Ki-Adi Mundi or Plo Koon, or even beside Obi-Wan. And he could not quite ignore the quiet whisper from down within the furnace doors that sealed his heart that he was about to become the youngest master in the 25,000-year history of the Jedi Order. But none of that really mattered. Palpatine had somehow seen into his secret heart and had chosen to offer him the one thing he most desired in all the galaxy. He didn't care about the Council, not really. That was a childish dream. He didn't need the Council. He didn't need recognition, and he didn't need respect. What he needed was the rank itself. All that mattered was mastery. All that mattered was Padme. This was a gift beyond gifts. As a master, he could access those forbidden holocrons in the restricted vault. He could find a way to save her from his dream. He shook himself back to the present. I am overwhelmed, sir, but the Council elects its own members. They will never accept this. I promise you they will, Palpatine murmured imperturbably. He swung his chair around to gaze out the window toward the distant spires of the temple. They need you more than they realize. All it will take is for someone to properly, he waved a hand expressively, explain it to them. I'm going to explain to them why they're going to do what I want them to do. Oh my gosh. What a guy. He's so good in this. Above everything else, like, Palpatine is maybe the highlight of this book. He is so phenomenal. Let's see, Alf, you chose the wrong time to run errands. You could always just read the actual book, that's true. Also a very good audiobook by Jonathan Davis. But as always, you know, every chapter is going to be up on YouTube after, so you could always listen to me reading it interspersed with chat. Let's see. Is Brotherhood worth reading? You've tried to get into it a couple times, and yeah, I more or less agree with Artemis's take. It's not amazing, but it's fun enough. I enjoyed it. I like that it has several references to this, incidentally. But yeah, it's certainly not the best, like, Anakin Obi-Wan novel. Let's see, Anakin, you're going to become a Nepo baby court-ordered master. It's... Anakin, you know, he doesn't understand why any of this is bad. He just thinks, he believes Palpatine that it's just being held back from him, that this is just a technicality. Let's see. You liked Brotherhood well enough? Like I said, yeah, it's not terrible or anything. There's certainly worse novels. I'd say it's about a par, you know, Star Wars book. Good. If you like the characters, you'll probably enjoy it. And there are scenes that I remember really liking. Let's see, Narp, you're making Captain Rex armor while listening. That's sick as hell. That's the one I would love to have, like, Captain Rex armor or, like, a full suit of Mando armor. But I don't have the patience or skill. Let's see, can we get a bookshelf tour sometime? I actually made a bookshelf tour a while ago. Did I ever end up posting that? I recorded a bookshelf tour, a newer one. I can't actually remember if I ever actually uploaded it. I'll have to double check that. If not, I'll like repost it. Or if I did, I'll repost it, I suppose. But yeah, I haven't had any new additions since then, although I've got Darksaber coming in soon. I'll have to find space for that. It's so tough. I bought this bookshelf specifically because I ran out of space on my last shelf and needed more room for my Star Wars books, and it is now full to the brim, and I need more space, and I don't know where to get it. There are so few bookshelves, like, it needs to fit in this little nook here. I can't move my whole set. You think I posted the shelf tour? Okay, I'll find it and, like, I don't know, try to repost it, or maybe just re-upload it. I don't know, how does TikTok feel about re-uploads? Let's see, Anakin feels like the galaxy and the council owe him everything. That's the thing. There are so many, like, Anakin defenders about, like, he did nothing wrong. Like, no, he's the one making a lot of the mistakes here, you know. Even, people will criticize like Anakin, or they'll criticize Yoda for not helping Anakin more. But like from the first second he's lying to Yoda, he does not earnestly ask Yoda for help. He asks him for just the littlest bit. That's true. I could pin. I'll find and pin my bookshelf tour, and I'll keep it up there for a while. I think I've only got 2 pinned now at the moment, anyways. Oh, let's see real quick. Thank you, Adam and Sabian, for the follows. I appreciate it from both of you. Let's see. You had no idea Star Wars had so many books. Only one you know is Mask of Fear. Oh, yeah. I fully agree with Austin, actually. Some of the best parts of the Star Wars series are in the books. I would say that, easily better than many of the movies. I think only, like, the first couple really beat some of the best books. But there's, I believe, 400 and something Star Wars books. There's a whole bunch. Let's see, you going to bed. Have a good one, Patrick. Thanks for joining. We'll be heading off here in a minute anyways, because we have finished our chapter for the day and have made it a little bit deeper into Revenge of the Sith. But yeah, you'll have to read more of them. There are some good as hell books out there. I could offer any recommendations if you're interested in, if you let me know like what characters, what ideas, what eras you're interested in. Let's see. Sabian, you ever play any Star Wars games? Are you asking like on live or just in general? Because yeah, I play a lot of Star Wars video games. Up until recently, I was playing KOTOR 2 on live, but I kept having technical issues, and so it became impractical. But I'm very excited for the Star Wars racing game that's coming out soon. Galactic Racer looks very good, in my opinion. Oh, let's see, Joe, you just started Phase 2 of the High Republic. Hell yeah, that's a good one. Will there be a Battlefront 3? Great question. I have no idea. Maybe eventually, but I figure EA, they're trying to do new stuff, it seems like, at least. You're super excited about the book Star Wars Legacy. I am too. Legacy looks cool. I'm glad to have some more Rey and Leia stuff. Some more, between Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker stuff. I wish we had some more stuff post-Rise, but I'll take this. Needs to be pod racing in this new game? There is. Oh yeah, they're adding pod racing. They showed off Ben Quadenaris is in the trailer. Let's see. Oh, you've read like 25% of only the canon novels. Oh, there's so many. It's going to take a while. Let's see. Yeah, they're terrified of going post-Rise. I think that they want to wait for the movie to do whatever it wants and don't want to risk setting up anything that'll restrict it. So we got to wait for the Rey movie, and then we'll finally start getting books and comics and stuff, but I wish. And yeah, The Mandalorian and Grogu in May. Hopefully it's good. Hopefully, I think the advertising has been pretty lackluster, but hopefully the movie proves something special. Let's see, Vader v. Thor, who wins? I think we talked about this at the beginning. Someone pointed out that, yeah, the lightning is such a huge edge on Vader. I think it really comes down to if, like, Vader can choke Thor to death from a distance without him zapping him. They refuse to give you post-Rise content. Yeah, it's a little frustrating because it's been a while. I hope they get to it soon so that we can see a new era and set things up. Thanks, love your page. I'm glad to have you. Although I should hop off for the day, I can hear my voice continuing to give out on me, so I should go maybe get a cup of tea and recover from all of that Grievous and Yoda. Let me know what Poe is up to. Oh, did you read The Last Order? It's not really the point of the novel, but there's some very cute like Poe and Finn scenes in that one that are post-Rise of Skywalker. They're just very brief. Let's see. You're very interested in Mon and the more political side, like during the Empire, but you're very new to Star Wars, so you'll take any recommendations. Okay, in that case, I mean, the best recommendation is Mask of Fear, but other Mon Mothma books, let's see. We're going to get the 2 sequels to that. She's in Lost Stars a little bit, has a good brief appearance from Mon Mothma. Alphabet Squadron has quite a bit of Mon Mothma, and those are fantastic books, so I strongly recommend them. I'm trying to think. Mon isn't in it, but if you like the politics, I'd recommend Bloodline. It's about Leia in the sequel, a little bit before the sequel era, and it's a very politically focused novel. That would be a good recommendation. And then if you want to hop over to Legends, there's a lot of great political novels, but also not many that focus too much on Mon. Mon never gets too much attention at a time. The Thrawn trilogy has a little bit of like backstory for Mon, but obviously that's not canon anymore. So I would say, yeah, Bloodline. I'd also recommend, just if you like politics in general, Darth Plagueis is a good one. That was very politically motivated. Can we check on Eddie? Oh yeah, here I've actually got him tucked in here. Little cameo from Eddie before we hop off. Yeah, I gotta write these down. There's so many. It's tough to keep up. Little cameo. Oh, thank you for the hat and mustache. I appreciate it. I wish. Oh, I know that TikTok wouldn't do this, but I really wish that those plopped onto Eddie instead. Oh, what a good boy. But yeah, thank you all for joining me. It's been a pleasure. I hope you have a great rest of your day, rest of your week, and I'll see you at the next Revenge of the Sith live reading. Have a good one. Oh, wait a minute. What am I saying? I still have my sign off here. As always, may the Force be with you.